What's up, beautiful family? Welcome back to this channel once again. Kindly for watching me for the first time, remember to subscribe, like, and also comment. To my returning viewers, thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for support, for always coming back and watching my video. And greetings to my brothers and sisters all the way from the Caribbean country. So guys, in today's video is a very amazing video. Is about Untold the story why Africa loves Jamaica so much. It's not about the separate two worlds, but it's all about the history. It's all about the culture. So before I dive in, let's watch this video and at the end, then I'll come back with more reaction. I'm your host, Team Tessie Discover. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and all full credit because original creator of these videos.
This is a question. This question is only for Africans. This question is only for Africans. When did you guys realize or found out that Jamaica was not in Africa? When did you guys realize or found out that Jamaica was not in Africa? Because this is something new to me, and I found out today that few Africans told me today that they thought Jamaica was in Africa. So I want to know, when did you guys find out?
I'm so tired of this narrative. It is simply not true. And I don't know where it started. I don't know who is trying to create this propaganda that Africans don't accept us in the diaspora. It is not true. A great majority of them love us and embrace us and want us to come over there and connect with them. Sure, you have a few that may be saying, oh, don't come over here. But I mean, it's one and two, and most of them are just not in their right minds. Just like you have piece of shit Jamaicans, but I'm not going around and saying, oh, Jamaica is hell because you have a few people who aren't very nice. Check the comment section of the last video that I posted. It is full of comments from the continent, all over the continent. Even on Instagram, I have 50k followers on Instagram. About 90% of them are Africans. Africans love us, especially Jamaicans. Okay, maybe they don't like Black Americans so much, right? And you can understand, I love my Black American brothers and sisters, but y'all are hard to deal with sometimes, especially when you come to other places where other African people are. You come with your entitlement, you come with your attitude, you come with your complaining. Like, it's very difficult to deal with y'all because you're American, and that's just the truth. But we love in the same way, but it's not just hard to deal with. But Africans love Jamaicans. They love Jamaicans. Ghana, they act just like us. They actually act like us. That's how much they love us. Come on. And the rest of Ethiopia. So you think you're English? You think you're Anglo-Saxon? I wish some of you would go to England and say some of these things to these white people, because they'll quickly put you in your place and tell you to go back to Africa. You are the only ones who don't know where you're from, and it's really sad. Yes, you speak Patois. What do you think Patois is made up of? A lot of it is African words. And if you really want to know what tribes we came from, it's so easy. Just look at the language that we speak, which is Patois. A lot of the words are from the Ashanti tribe. I'm just surprised that a lot of Jamaicans don't know these things. It's basic history, really. But it just shows you how much the education system has failed us, because we don't know ourselves. Most Jamaicans struggle with English. In fact, not just Jamaicans. Most black people in the West who speak the language of their colonizers struggle with the language. That's why you end up with Creole and Patois. We have to mix up the African in there to express ourselves. English is not ours. It belongs to another group of people. Languages are born out of a culture. English didn't come from us. There are so many simple things that tell us who we are. There's so much African retention around us, including the fact that we speak Patois. It's not rocket science, and it's just shameful to see this display of ignorance on social media.
Why am I just finding this out? Why? And I was seriously ready to argue with my friends. My friend was telling me, and I was like, bro, you're lying. I was laughing at her. Why? Anytime I tell people, oh, I'm from Nigeria, they're like, oh, I have a friend from Jamaica. It's not even in Africa. Why didn't I know that? Why didn't you go tell me that?
Nigeria and Jamaica have a special bond and we can't stop thinking about it. Recall when Miss Jamaica won Miss World in 2019. Miss Nigeria jubilated in such a way that you would think that she won the crown. Some people say she was doing too much. But please, this was a moment of sisterhood. Likewise, in July 2022, Toby Amuson won the 100 meters hurdles in the World Athletics, and the Jamaican competitor celebrated with her, hugging her too. Would you say that she was also doing too much? Nah. So what exactly is this bond between the two countries? Though far apart, it seems like natives of both Jamaica and Nigeria tend to have something special when they're together. In February 2022, the governments of Nigeria and Jamaica had a session of the Nigeria-Jamaica Joint Commission in Abuja. Speaking at the event, the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria, Jeffrey Onyema, said that both governments have put in place mechanisms to strengthen bilateral relations between both countries. So you see, the bond is not only social, but also political. Both governments make this bond intentional.
South Africans are okay with things not making sense. For example, Jamaica's not in Africa, Haiti's not in Africa, Brazil's not in Africa, but I've come across some South Africans that in theory know this, but in reality, like, they don't compute it or process it, right? For example, I'll tell people about my Jamaican friends. I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, Jamaicans have housed me and made me feel more welcome and helped my transition a lot more than, you know, some African people. And they'll be like, why are you separating Jamaicans from Africans? Is Jamaica not in Africa? I'm like, bro, we were in the same geography class. You know that Jamaica is not in Africa. And then people would have to dig in their knowledge and be like, oh my gosh, in theory, yes, I do know that it's not in Africa, but the way that Jamaican culture, Haitian culture, even some people think that Brazil, not as often Brazil comes up, but some people do think that Brazil is in Africa. Like, they would know it in theory that it's not in Africa, but then practically and realistically, like, their brains just see these cultures, the spirituality within these cultures, their expression, the color, the ceremoniousness, the way that Africans feel loved when they're in these countries, and they'll be like, yeah, this must be an African person, even though the theory we learned in class is cognitively dissonant to that, or it is incongruent to the information that their brain feeds them. And I find that so fascinating. And I think then when you approach the African continent or South Africa, knowing that things make sense not making sense, knowing that people can maneuver the countries in the world in their heads to make sense of identity in the world, I think it lets you approach South African ignorance differently, and South African history and political context differently, because there is a context as to why people think that Jamaica is in Africa. And it's not everyone, it's some people, it's probably a minority before people come at me. But yeah, I hope I'm making sense.
Jamaica not being in Africa doesn't make sense to me. It's like 77 plus 33.
This is spiritual. The love Africans have for Jamaicans, it's really, really spiritual, people. I know a lot of you are going to think that's crazy, but that is true. It's like you cannot convince an African at some point in their lives that Jamaica is not an African country. They will literally pull out pictures of Jamaicans and they'll say, yeah, and they are African. Then you'll say to them, okay, point where they are in Africa, and then they'll be all blank and they'll be traumatized when they discover that Jamaica is actually an island in the Caribbean. I was traumatized when I discovered that, so I'm talking from experience. So then my ancestors say to me, it's spiritual. The connection between Jamaicans and Africans is spiritual. That connection that broke between African Americans and Africans because of slavery did not break with Jamaicans. It remained like the cord, the umbilical cord between the Africans and the African Americans. It broke during slavery, but it did not break with the Jamaicans. It remained strong. They remained tagged into the source. So what was the reason? What is the reason that they were tagged into the source and remain tagged into the source? The women, they had very strong metaphysical scientists who were women, and they were like leading them. It's almost like one of their leaders, one of their very first leaders who did what she did. I think I remember her name. Wherever she was very, very metaphysically strong. She did rituals along with others which kept the cord, the umbilical cord, intact, because she thought one day they were going to be able to get on boats and go home, and she didn't want to lose that connection. Literally, yeah, I'm listening to them talking. Literally, that's why for Africans, Jamaica is in Africa, no matter what. It's a spiritual connection that has remained over hundreds of years and will remain for eternity. Isn't that fascinating? I think that's amazing. I think that's cool. And yes, I still think it's a travesty that Jamaica is not in Africa.
Bro, this is so fucking true. Ain't nobody love reggae music like South African uncles and aunties and the grandparents. They love that shit, bruv. I remember my second trip there. I went to Johannesburg and we rented this whole house. And it was about around 2 and something like that in the afternoon. And I went out on the balcony and the neighbors next to me, bruv, all I heard was, easy skanking it easy. Oh, pirates, yes, they roll by Buffalo Soldier. And I was like, wait, hold on, wait, what? And the mix, I was listening to the mix. It went on and on and on and on. So I was like, Jamaicans. We have some Jamaicans next to us. So we was going to go out, innit? So I was like, oh, yeah, like, you mans. I was telling everybody. I was like, when we're going past, let's tell, like, you know, the neighbors hi in Jamaica. Bruv. We got out of this house, went up to their house, got to the gate. We saw it. It was two, like, older couple. Like, they looked like they were in, like, their 40s, 50s, 60s. So went up to them. I agreed to them in patois, bruv. I was like, wow, go on, uncle. Like, I was chatting patois. Please tell me why. This man replied back to me in a South African accent. I said, hello, hi, excuse me. He's like, yes, I'm South African. It was two full South African uncle and aunties, bruv. And they were in the front garden dancing the fuck like ain't nobody's business. And then, you know, the funny thing is, like, you will go into, like, certain areas and you'll just hear them be beating reggae, bruv. It's not a joke. I think Bob Marley performed in South Africa one time, bruv. I can't remember. But, bruv, they love that shit. I don't think Jamaican people appreciate reggae music the way they do. They love that shit.
Do you know there's something that I've picked up, right? When going through people's comments about Africa, about the development of Africa, about Africans coming together as a collective, about BRICS, etc., you know, and how it will benefit Africa. And there is a specific group of people that consistently, if you go through the comments, are there. And this is me giving them a shout out for constantly and always being supportive of Africa. And these are the Jamaicans. Without fail, under anything positive or anything negative about Africa, you will find Jamaicans supporting Africa, standing up for Africa, and just being part of the conversation and always saying that we are one. So this is me saying thank you.
Growing up, I used to think that Jamaica was part of Africa. I'm a Nigerian myself, and I don't know why. I always just thought that Jamaica was somewhere in Africa. I don't know why.
So, I think it's safe to say that there are a few Africans growing up who genuinely thought that Jamaica was in Africa. And I am guilty. I am one of those people who genuinely thought Jamaica was an African country. And I remember growing up, my dad used to play Bob Marley so much. And on top of that, the vinyl, we used to call it LPs, the cover was clearly a black African man. So it didn't make sense that if anyone had to tell me, no, this man is not in Africa or from Africa, you know, he's obviously African, but that Jamaica's not in Africa. It made no sense. But I know better now, guys. I'm grown up, but I do know something. So there's this other African country, and they do not consider themselves black. I don't even know if they think they're African. It's a blue flag, and no, it's not Botswana. But maybe if we can, like, swap them with the Caribbean. Just a thought. Use it, don't use it.
All right, so since the CIA is putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers right now, and they got half the black diaspora in a headlock, we're going to fight fire with fire. I am going to go through the entire diaspora. I am going to mention what I love and appreciate about every single culture in the entire African diaspora. If there's any countries you guys want me to mention or talk about, or even like ethnic groups, I don't use the term tribe, ethnic groups, just go ahead and comment below, and I will respond with what I appreciate and what I love about that diaspora. Now, nobody should be surprised, but I am going to start with the Jamaicans. To put how incredible Jamaicans are as a people, as a culture, as a legacy, everything like that, you have to look at the numbers, right? The state of Wyoming, and this is for the Americans, in the US, the state of Wyoming has 10 million people, right? For the Nigerians, I think there's about maybe 12-ish million people in like Kogi State, right? There's not even 3 million Jamaicans. There are not even 3 million people on the island of Jamaica. If you take all the Jamaicans worldwide and count it with the population in Jamaica, you might reach 3 million. But there are not 3 million Jamaicans on the island of Jamaica. Now, keeping that in mind, that tiny island and that relatively small group of people have produced more world-changing, history-making, culture-defining people, ideas, art, food, language, any aspect of human endeavor. They are in the top 3, right? If they're not number 1, worldwide. And they never forced any of it on anybody. But the flavor level was just so high with how Jamaicans do what they do that everybody gravitates towards it. So that's why I'm starting with Jamaicans. I love Jamaica. I love Jamaicans. I have an Igbo language school. We get a lot of Jamaican students just because of the common ancestry. And one of the things that really keeps me going and makes me feel good is when you guys notice the Igbo words in your patois. That's just one of my favorite things in the world. I can take it all the way back to music, right? Jamaican music has had a profound impact on my life. I'm a very, very old school dub reggae person. But just the whole gauntlet, dance hall, everything like that, I'm with it, right? I can even go all the way back to big band, right? That kind of thing. The most impactful song in my life, like ever, is Jimmy Cliff. And it's funny, I can't think of the name because I had it my dad had it on a tape and it was unlabeled. So I just knew the song, but I didn't know the name. But I think the name is Come Our Way by Jimmy Cliff, right? This is the most important song in my life. And most people will give you either a Jamaican athlete, artist, art, concept, creative, whatever, that will probably rank in their top 10, right? Or else you just don't have a soul. So I'm a Nigerian. I love Jamaicans. The first diaspora group I'm showing love to is the Jamaicans. I got love for all of you. So whatever country you're from or whatever you want me to mention, just go ahead and comment below and I will respond with what I appreciate about you guys. And hey, maybe you guys don't want to hear it from me. I'm encouraging anybody else to take on this trend. Let's push back against all this CIA double shift against black people. Thank you.
So I'm like fully Senegalese now, but look how beautiful Ilia Cafe is. It's so nice. But how I know I'm fully Senegalese? I ain't fully Senegalese. I still can't speak French or Wolof. So embarrassing. But whenever people talk to me now, instead of like yes, I say wa wa wa. C'est bon, ça va, or assalamu alaikum. So it's kind of like, yeah. I hope I don't go back to the US like, wah, wah, wah. I hope I remember to say yes when someone tells me something that she was like, is this your takeout juice? And instead of yes, I was like, wah, 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 wah. Merci beaucoup. Look at Senegal at night. Whee! I love Africa.
Hello guys, viewers, welcome back. I hope you have watched and see how really Africa are in love with Jamaica. It's not about the separate words. It's not about the music, it's not about the culture, it's not about the reggae music, it's all about the blood, because Jamaica and Africa are black and are brothers and sisters, and Africa normally view Jamaica as a child in abroad, because it's about the slavery, because Jamaica were taken here from Africa through slavery, and their descendant are in here in Africa, and that's why you have seen how really love you have seen that how really love is really working out. And even the people, they normally confuse that Africa are in Jamaica, because they have informed Jamaica, starting from reggae music, starting from Ghana, coming to Nigeria, coming to Kenya, all are in love with Jamaica. And the history tell us that when you see Jamaicans, the Jamaicans are really the Africans, because the ancestors are from this motherland of the black people. Because Africa loves Jamaica because they gave us Bob Marley. This Bob Marley really sings the songs during the independent song, the freedom songs. That when you just hear one love here in Africa, it really symbolized that all the black people are in one color. And even when you hear somebody like Marcus Garvey is the one who also really inspired here in Africa. He really learned, Kwame Nkrumah learned from Marcus Garvey, and that's why now in Africa we are enjoying the freedom, independent, because of the Marcus Garvey. And that's why Africans really love Jamaica so much. And another thing that's making Africa to be in love with Jamaica, because we have also witnessed how Jamaicans also love Africans. We can remember during the time of Ibrahim Traore, you saw how really Jamaicans come out and defend Africa, and that is shows that is the pure love. That is the pure love, how really Africa and Jamaica are being connected. And this connection is not about the music. It's about in the blood. They are the blood sister. They are the blood brothers. And I know we have so many things that are making Jamaica to be loved by Africa. When you just see how uh, Jamaica produced their fastest man in the world, this has made Africa to love Jamaica so high, because Jamaica, being the Iceland in Caribbean country, it has managed to produce a world fastest man in earth, Usain Bolt. When Africa just hear the Usain Bolt, they remember the Jamaica, their son. They have produced a very fastest man in earth. When Africa hear the reggae music, when they hear the Bob Marley beats, that beats reminded them that it's about the freedom, about the love that really Bob Marley brought among the African people, among the black people. When they hear Marcus Garvey, they remembered the Kwame Nkrumah, the independent, how really Marcus Garvey fighting for Africa. And apart from being in that, when they hear the Jackie chicken, the history, because Jamaica has the best food here in Africa, in world, and Africa really loves Jamaican's food. Starting from the Jackie chicken, coming to egg, coming to salty fish, coming to patties, all are loved by Africa. And that that food has the African heartbeat, and that's why they are really in love in food. When we talk about uh, when you talk about the Patos language, Jamaica has the Patos language, which it has the deep root here in Africa. Beside Patois language combines so many languages, but it has the deep root here in Africa. Because here in Africa also, when you hear somebody speaking Patos language, in Ikipo language, in Twi language, it really sounds like the Patos language. And that is how really Africa are in love with Jamaica. starting from when you just hear the Rastafaris all the way from Ghana, Nigeria, all across all over the world to Haile Selassie in Ethiopia. They really love that Rastafaris religion, and that religion is formerly in Jamaica, but Haile Selassie who started that movement, by though his didn't supported them, but it's really connection. So when you hear somebody like Jamaica and Africa, it's really the connections, because it's not a new thing. It's in blood. It's the blood sister and brothers, and that's why now most of people now just want to go to Jamaica just listening. When you come here, you people just listen the reggae music, which is inspired the world. They spread love, because that sentence of one love, it means a load. When you hear just Vibes Cartel singing, Popcorn singing about how they really fighting. That songs are so impressive here in Africa, and that's why now the Africa are in love with Jamaica. And I told them, when you just hear that sentence, it's not about maybe a topic, it's about the spirit. I told you Jamaica is a strength, it's a rhythm, it's a soul here in Africa. It's a very deep here in Africa. It's the heartbeat of Africa. And that's why I normally say that when you just hear Africa and Jamaica, it's not about the jokes, it's the connection that these two countries and continent have. Thank you so much for watching me for the first time. If you come across this video, remember to subscribe, like, and also comment. If you are in Jamaica, do you really love Africa? If you are in Africa, let's show love to Jamaica and also the Caribbean people. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. Wagwan, bye for now.